Hey gang, and welcome to Top 5 Friday. I'm your host Tim Cant, and this time I'm feeling particularly stiff with fear because we're looking at a spooky subject. That's right, drum synthesis. Now, you might be wondering, why is drum synthesis so scary? I'll give you 3 reasons. Ghost snares, occult symbols, and of course, the clap. Bearing that in mind, let's prepare to get the willies put up us. Woohoo! We're jonesing for BreakTweaker at 5. Heartbeat is pumping away at 4. Cover your delicates, it's Punchbox at 3. Microtonic is a tiny dancer at 2. And Drum Synth 500 takes our pole position. At 5, BreakTweaker by iZotope. The second collaboration between iZotope and EDM supremo BT, the first being StutterEdit, BreakTweaker lets you program drum sounds, sequence rhythms with them, and then run absolutely wild. Rawr! The sequencer lets you draw in patterns and run each lane at a different length, or even timing. You can select which MIDI note will play back each sound for one-shot play, or just run everything from the sequencer. BreakTweaker's generators give you wavetable synths with single, additive ring mod AM and FM modes, and you also get BT's prized collection of wavetables as part of the plugin. You can randomize slices within individual steps in the sequencer, apply MicroEdits to individual steps, stutter them up all to heck, and then apply effects to the sound on the output. Lots and lots going on in BreakTweaker, but I want to show you something very small and interesting in particular. Let's play the TJ Electro Bubble preset. We're going to play the first pattern. There's something funky going on at the end of that bar, isn't there? Let's see what's going on. We've got a kick, we've got a clap, we've got a bass. And that bass is playing in a standard fashion all the way through until we get to the last notes where the MicroEdit section is coming into play. Now, what does this do? This basically plays the note very, very quickly, and that can create different pitched or stuttering or glitch effects depending on how you program it. But all it's doing is just triggering that note real quick. Well, you can have different MicroEdit settings for each different note in your sequence. We can have a listen to that last one with the preview button. There we go. It's creating kind of zippy rising up effects because it's triggering it faster and faster. We can control this with the slope curve. Got a bit of a sine there. Bit of 145 chord. He's got some chordy sort of stuff here. Bit of chiptune-y sort of stuff. And you can also control the shape of this using the various knobs like the tension and the rotate. Let's select something cool, have a bit of dig dug, and we'll muck about with the tension. And you can also control the gate. So you can thin it out by having a lot of little small things. Spread things about a bit. Oh, look, that's creating some interesting patterns. We're getting some nice sort of PWM effects there, and you can control the tail as well. And plus, you can control the pitch of each of these as well, so you could create a little step sequence pattern there. You can also select divisions, time, and speed instead. So you can go right in and select, a specific hertz value for how quickly you want this to play. And then still go in and change all the same sort of stuff that we looked at before. So that is just one very, very small yet exciting part of iZotope and BT's BreakTweaker. At 4, Heartbeat by Softube. The first ever instrument developed by Softube, although later followed up by Modular and Parallels, Heartbeat lets you synthesize drums, modeling sounds that fit perfectly to your track. There are single oscillator, dual oscillator, FM and FM plus noise synthesis types to get your teeth into when creating your drums. With the auto layer machine, Heartbeat can combine different sounds you've synthesized and play them at the same time, or combine them in interesting ways to spark your creativity. You also get that Softube quality delay, EQ and reverb, plus global effects including compression. And it hurts with every heartbeat. It doesn't have to hurt though, because Softube's heartbeat, it might look like a monster, but it's really not that bad. I'm going to give you a whistle-stop tour of it right now, just to give you an idea of Wagwan. You get a bunch of really fat-sounding drum sounds. On the left-hand side of the instrument, we can trigger those with MIDI. What have we got? 909 kick, 808 kick, a rim, nice rim job there, a clap, hi-hat in both closed and open forms. We have some toms, and finally a cymbal. But here's where things get crazy. You keep going up that keyboard and then you enter the auto layer machine zone. And this is assigned to play various drum sounds at once. And as you can see, this is playing a perk, a clap and a rim at the same time. So let's say, hypothetically, we wanted to make the biggest, baddest kick drum sound known to humanity. Well, we will start by turning all of these triggers off, and then we'll say, okay, I want trigger 1 to play bass drum 1, and then I want trigger 2 to play bass drum 2. Oh my lord, that is large. Oh, and we can tweak these. Oh my god. Was man meant to have this power? No, because I'm in danger of clipping. In fact, I'm going to turn the master out down a bit. Just to keep us in the realms of sanity. And then I'm going to turn up the saturation. Oh, and they're oh, that's getting a bit wobbly. Do you know what? I'm going to calm this bad boy down a bit. Oh yeah. Oh, obnoxious. I love it. So there you go. That's basically the crux of it. You've got your drum sounds, you've got various bits of processing. What's also worth investigating is the chaos. Now, this changes things up. So we also have a delay thing I should have mentioned actually. So you can control when these play after the hit. So you can make yourself some weird flams and stuff there. And then the chaos will kind of like randomize that delay stuff. And the more you turn it up, the more stuff it'll randomize, even going into the realms of absolute insanity of playing other sounds. Let's check it out. So yeah, practically tangible chaos delivered to you from Softube. At 3, Punchbox by D16 Group. Boof. Ouch. That's right, you've just been punched in the box by a kick drum synth from virtual drum machine veterans D16 Group. Not only can this instrument's synth engine emulate the kicks from Roland's legendary TR-606, 808 and 909 drum machines, but it also features an original sine-based kick generator and sample playback capabilities. There are also 3 auxiliary sample playback sections for enhancing your kick's attack stage, plus bit crusher, distortion, filter, equalizer and limiter effects. If the thought of all that kick sculpting functionality is a bit too much for you, fear not. Punchbox comes with a whopping 800 presets covering everything from tiny taps to sub-destroying stompers, making it a breeze to find that perfect bass drum sound. I've got a very quick tip for those of you who like to use kick drum sounds for bass lines, as I often do. Normally, Punchbox plays the same note on every key. Not very exciting, but if you turn the key track knob on, then you can play it chromatically, i.e. up and down the keyboard. So we're using the default preset here to get that lovely 808 bass tone, and that's already selected in the kick section. We're just going to turn off the auxiliary sample players. I'm going to turn off the distortion equalizer. I'm going to leave the limiter on because this is a bit of a spicy meatball. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn up the decay. Oh, there you go. There, and now, oh, I could listen to that for days, and have done. Also, you can control the sweep time to get, you know, your perfect tone. And then if you really wanted to, you could go in with that distortion. Oh my goodness. Hell yeah. Ooh, I love it. So there you have it, a Punchbox, a source of unending bass pleasure for your eardrums. Attune Microtonic by Sonic Charge. Microtonic has 8 drum slots, each with the same synthesis setup. There's an oscillator, envelope settings for level and pitch, and a noise generator that kicks out the fuzzy stuff. Microtonic also lets you mess with velocity sensitivity, change gain and level, and apply distortion. The pattern sequencer gives you everything you'd expect from classic drum sequencing: triggering, accenting, fill creation, and step length. You can even morph between setups on the fly to manipulate the tone of your rhythmic machinations. Sonic Charge Microtonic is a really useful instrument, not just for the sounds that it makes, but because it's a really powerful educational tool. As we've said, there are 8 drum slots. Each of these has the same guts. That's an oscillator and a noise generator. So these are used to create all of the drum sounds that it makes. For example, let's run through this preset here. All that stuff getting made by the same thing. So, you know, kick drum is relatively obvious. That is just an oscillator dropping in pitch. And we can, you know, by changing the decay, we can control how punchy it sounds, fairly straightforward. Then you have more complicated stuff like a clap. So, how does one make a dummy thick clap? Well, I'll show you. What it's doing is using this specialized envelope, which is the modulated clap noise envelope. So how these envelopes work is, well, I'll show you by selecting a different type. Normally we just have a regular envelope here. We've got a tiny little bit of attack on it. A little bit of decay. Ooh, doesn't it remind you of the sounds of the sea? Gorgeous. And then we have this other envelope, which is linear. Goes on for ages. And then we have the specialized clap one. So what happens here is, now what's going on there? Basically, it's playing a repeated start, like sort of attack phase that goes on for as long as you set the attack to. So if you turn it all the way up, it basically goes on forever. Oh Lord. But if you turn it down, you're just getting a little bit. Then we can tighten up the end there. Get a kind of flammy effect by turning that up. Also, let's have a look at the snare as well. What's going on here is we've just got the same sort of thing, but with a real low setting or whatever. If you wanted, you could say mix some oscillation there. And that will kind of beef it up a bit. Let's turn this down. And then you've got that, you know, so we can see here specifically that the oscillator frequency is like about 90 Hertz. And that's giving our snare a bit of body. We could turn that up to, you know, your classic 200. And there you go. We could change the waveform. You know, a sine tone is probably a bit more acceptable. And also we could change the equalization. Maybe put a bit of distortion on there. There you go, a rough and rugged snare. So if you want to learn more about drum synthesis, Sonic Charge Microtonic is a really fantastic choice. And at number 1, it's Drum Synth 500 by Music Tech. Drum Synth 500 conjures its drum sounds in a few different ways, using analog synthesis to make kicks and snares, noise synthesis to create hats and claps, FM to generate toms and percussion, plus it has 2 sampler channels to load any sound to supplement the drum kit. Each drum kit element has its own controls depending on the synthesis type, so this really does add up to bespoke drum creation. The mixer section is where you'll find 11 mute, solo, panel and send levels for 2 lots of delay and reverb effects. Drum Synth comes with 50 kits, 500 drum sounds, over 500 samples and 500 MIDI clips, so there's tons of stuff to get your teeth into right out of the gate. Let's take a listen to a few different Drum Synth 500 kits so we can hear the variety of sounds it can create. Okay, you get the idea. Now what's cool about all of those is I haven't used any of the sampled instruments in that demonstration. That is all coming out of the synthesized stuff. which works in a bit of a different way to Microtonic in that each sound has its own fixed sort of architecture designed for creating that particular sort of sound. So let's choose a kit. Let's go for Delicioso. So there you go. You've got a kick set up. It's all very simple. You can't really turn it into anything apart from a kick, but it's all right there. You got your snare. Lovely stuff. Your clap. And then you can, in fact, as well as choosing your overall kit, you can also cycle through different presets for each sound. Great stuff, blah-de-blah, hats, toms, all of your faves. And of course, it has these two reverbs and delays for each thing as well, which does usually touch, but I like it. So you can have a short delay and a long delay for each sound. And just go completely crazy. And also there is a bit of compression, dynamics processing that you can have on each one. You can choose it in the actual mixer, and you can have an overall control in the master as well. Plus, there is a saturator on the master as well, so you can drive it like an absolute animal. So yeah, a really, really powerful drum creation tool that sounds absolutely great. Well, that was truly terrifying, and I tell you, it's not just my t-shirt that's brown. If you managed to survive that horror, why don't you join us again another time? And hey, maybe click the subscribe button and that little bell so you know when things are gwaning. See you later. Bye!